room can contain 200?
There's
several.
4 classrooms.
Oh, wow.
So I would offer drink and food, but it's the fast right now, so it's not.
I was showing her pictures from our trip to Turkey.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Those monks, like very, very awesome.
Yeah. So they have a new one now that we've never seen up on a hill on the Asian side, looking over, and it's gigantic.
Oh, you mean in Turkey?
In Turkey, yes. And
gigantic compared to which
compared to and a lot of the Muslim world just say, this is just for this guy, because you're not supposed to build gigantic, grandiose, and yet he does, because legacy.
Yeah.
So Erdogan is the president of Turkey is Recep Erdogan, and he's accumulating a lot of power, and so he builds giant churches because
like our Forbidden City.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has a Starbucks on the inside of the Forbidden City.
Now it was taken out.
Was it taken out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
People protest a lot.
Good.
Yeah, it was really. At least they need to have a tea house. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Starbucks. Yeah.
But
Starbucks is everywhere.
Yeah. And am I right? You're from Beijing?
Yes, I'm from Beijing. I was born in Beijing and live in the traditional alley, those 四合院. Hutong. Yeah. So, but now it's demolished.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
The cranes are.
Yeah.
Those cranes are like monsters crawling through the city. It's amazing. So many.
Yeah.
My wife and my daughter just got back from Shanghai. 4 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did she enjoy her time in China?
Oh, so much. My daughters are adopted from China.
Yeah.
And her best friend through growing up school, their family went to China to live for a year, and the mother's been teaching in an international school.
Oh.
And so her best friend has been in China. So for her best friend's birthday, they flew surprise.
Wow.
And, so.
Which school?
I don't know.
Oh, that's fine. Because I have friends who are studying in the international school, and also in Beijing there are actually a lot.
Maybe 12 years ago, I was a part of an organization that started getting involved in this because the international schools are so popular, In
Beijing? Or in China?
China.
Oh, in China, yes.
Yeah, Beijing for a long time, but expanding. So yes, they're everywhere. But I don't know the name of the specific one.
That's fine. The daughter of my host family in Minnesota, she goes to Inhua Academy.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Who's the host family?
In the name?
Yeah.
Zaki Cho. So he is Malaysian, but his parents are from China. But they were born. He was born in Malaysia.
So Chinese diaspora in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And then.
Yes, and then he came here when he was 18 as a student. So and he got married with American. That's why the daughter is half.
How old is the daughter?
I think she's on her 8th grade.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's maybe from the beginning then she was in.
Well, my youngest daughter Ava is in 8th grade. So what is the daughter's name?
Ava as well.
Okay.
Ava Cho. CH.
They're friends. Yeah, they know each other.
Oh, really?
So my daughter will know, yeah.
Oh, is your daughter in the soccer?
No, not in soccer.
But Lisa has seen more soccer than I think any person visiting the U.S. should ever have to see.
That's the youth now. In Minnesota, it's there are more kids playing soccer in Minnesota than all the other sports combined.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so popular. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's taken a long time. When I was a boy, I was on my city's first soccer team. I was on my high school's first soccer team, and I started the college team. So it was all, and I was terrible, but I was the best the city had ever seen because nobody played before me. So it was wonderful because you could be terrible and still enjoy. Now it's so competitive and intense, and so.
Do you think that's because like we have like large number of immigrants or refugees who come from different countries? That's why soccer is a way to.
I think that's a part because it's a global game.
I think it's also easy. Like it's an easy thing to get your kids into. There's not a lot of equipment. Like it's one of the cheaper sports to play.
Right.
You know, you don't.
Injuries are less than American football. These things, hockey.
It's a definite revenue maker for the city. Like in Brooklyn Park, it's the same. Like there's more kids playing soccer than any other sport, and it actually funds the other sports so that there's easier access to the American football, to basketball, to baseball. It allows the city to like replace equipment and all of that because it generates so much revenue.
I think you're speaking about the truth about the international space. So up until 1965, there was a cap on immigration for all people of color, China, everywhere. Like only Northern Europe did we allow unlimited numbers. In 1965, that changed. Since that time, we've seen increase in the diversity of the country, so that we now see those tastes, those flavors, sports, etc., becoming more global. I think there is a relation. And Minnesota, of the states, so for immigrants who come to Minnesota, we have the highest number of international immigration for population that comes new into Minnesota. We're a higher percentage of refugee immigrant than any other state in the country.
Yeah, so. Like Somali, Hmong, and Ethiopia.
Russian. Liberian. There are larger numbers of immigrant refugees internationally in New York, in California, but as far as the percentage of our population, we have the highest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it affects us. And it's our opportunity and hope. Minnesota is an old state. The population is old. So we need that international youth to come. We're very attracted to people like you to come and shape the new, build the economy, the future for the state. We need it. Otherwise, we're in trouble. We'll be filled with old white people who want to be cared for, but there's no economy to support. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just here for like a month. I hope like I can stay longer.
Oh, we'll fix that, right?
I think so.
And what kind of a visa are you on?
J1.
J1. Okay.
So it's like a scholar visa, like visitor visa.
And is it for 30 days or 6 months? What's the?
Like I think I can stay longer, but because the program is only a month.
It's tied to the program.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
So that's why.
Well, so let's pause and do introductions and get to know each other a little bit. How's that?
Sure. So I can start. So my Chinese name is Li Sai. Li Sai. Yeah, right. So I was I was born in Li Sai. Like competition, 比赛的赛.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I can never hear it. I have to have the visual also to Sai. Yeah.
Sai. Yeah. So English name is Lisa. So it's just very easier to remember.
I understand.
Yeah. Back in Beijing, I work for a nonprofit called Ideas Foundation for Youth Development. So we are actually. I think I have like a brochure.
Oh, thank you.
And if you don't, I have a kit at work that I can.
So
Oh, beautiful.
Last year was our 10-year anniversary, so this is kind of like a semi-invitation, semi-brochure.
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. So
wow.
It's really neat.
Yeah, I like the design.
Yeah.
So we actually started 10 years ago as a foundation, doing like we don't have those terms as service learning back then, but we're doing like encouraging students to like do volunteering in their communities. Civic engagement. And then in 2013 we started a for-profit doing camping education. Camps. We have our winter summer camps, and we bring those 21st learning skills, like into the camps. Like we have workshops in different kind of areas and subjects where students can find their interest. We also build service learning, like this concept, into our camp programs. So in this 2-week camp, they have a short period of time where they can go to the community to find out if there is some issues. And then after they leave the camp, they can apply like a grant from this foundation, this nonprofit, where we could support those students to further develop their ideas with their classmates or friends in their schools and communities.
Who are these gentlemen?
Oh, those are our kind of experts. Some of our experts from the States, who we work close with. This one, I think he's from the P21 in partnership of 21st, Center Learning Skills.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. And then
and
this one, like 2 of them also own camps in the States. So they're more in the camping side. And this one, like Chris is more with children's psychology and how to develop confidence and social emotional learning. So those are our kind of experts. We also have others that didn't really put. So there's more like experts we know from the American Camping Association. Yeah, we go there for their annual conferences. Yeah.
So primary connection to the United States then, as far as its international connections.
Yes. So we also have overseas camps. Those are all in different countries, but a large part of it is in the States. I personally went to Texas, to like short period of work for their camp champions. So was in Texas.
Who's the founder?
This one is called Zhao Wei. I don't think she's here. No, she's not here. But she has a background in the government. So that's why she has a really broad network to really promote like camping or this alternative education as a part of the government like strategy. Because just recently, I think 2 years ago, the government said we call them study tour. Study tour has to be part of the school curriculum. So study tour meaning that students can come to the camp. That can also be like a part of a way of study tour. But we also have a study tour where we bring the students to another province where they can learn the traditional art or traditional Chinese cultures, or we have a specific theme. So those are part of our school programs. Yeah.
How long have you been with the organization?
Since almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So it's not very long. But I have been actively involved in either their camps or their nonprofits. I'm more on the nonprofit, which the reason why I'm here is to learn about service learning, because we support students, or also we provide trainings, like helping them to design their project and in the communities. But I don't think like the way we do it is the most professional way, and we are to have a more insights from the States.
Where does your staff come? You have how large is staff? Around 100. 100 staff. Yeah. And of those, how many work in the camp? Almost all?
Almost all, but we kind of like cross because it all belongs to the same company. So we kind of cross departments working together with others. So I work for the camp, and also they work for our project as well. Yeah.
Tell me about you.
What do you want to know about me? Yeah, before I worked for this organization, I actually worked for Save the Children.
Mm-hmm.
So in southwest of China, where those ethnic minority people live, I help them. Like my job is to build. We call them children's center, but it's actually early childhood education center, where those children from 3 to 6 years old, they can have like a quality time. Because there's no such thing in the rural areas.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my job was Save the Children. And before that, I worked for a for-profit doing marketing. Yeah, doing marketing for all those different fancy brands. Yeah.
Yes.
The reason that I chose like non-profit is because I went to Kenya. Yeah, I know that you were doing. You're East Africa, yes. Yeah. So I think Kenya, I stayed there only for 2 months, but I went to Kibera slum, like where my landlady actually founded a non-profit in Kibera.
Okay.
Yeah, so she asked me, do you want to have a look? I said, why not? So I think that was totally the time that I was transformed by seeing those people and their attitude and how I can contribute to to change this situation a little bit. I'm still not quite sure whether what I did back then was sustainable. Maybe it's not, but I was just very.
It changed you.
Yeah, it changed me. Yeah, so I think that was very like my turning point of my life so far.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you study for
I study communications and advertising, economics, and communications. Okay. So for my bachelor and master.
So when did you start training on design thinking? How did that come about?
Design thinking was when I started to work for this. Okay. Yeah, in the beginning.
Oh, so they use design thinking as a
yes. So
trainer.
Like facilitator. Yeah. I joined like a training in Hangzhou, like close to Shanghai, where we invited.
This is where my daughter and wife were in Hangzhou.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah. We invited someone from the States to teach us, from Northwestern University, to teach us design thinking. It was a 2-week workshop. Oh. Yeah, so that's how I learned.
And so when you've done these workshops, have they been in English or?
Those workshops are, the Hangzhou one is in English because, the professor
comes from.
Yeah, but the rest is what I did is in Chinese. Okay. Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's so interesting. And so you're here, you arrived when? When did you get to the United States?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you've been here a while. And so just 2 more weeks to go?
Yeah. So altogether is a month. In the beginning, we stay in D.C. for 3 days. Yeah. And then it's like an orientation of this program.
You're part of a cohort.
Yes. We have 14 fellows coming from mainland Taiwan and Hong Kong. Okay. And 5 of them stayed in Minnesota. Thank you, Amy, for Amy connected us to matching us to different organizations.
I just made some recommendations. Like I say, I knew Youth Prize had a fellow. I didn't know H2O got one, but they have one as well.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. H2O for life.
Yep.
Okay.
And their fellow turned around and went to Africa.
You went to Kenya? Probably?
Yeah, well, not Kenya. Where did the H2O for Life fellow, they went, as soon as they got here, they turned around and went with H2O.
To Africa?
To Africa somewhere, right?
Who? You mean the fellow?
The fellow from,
The Shuling, no. It's Guatemala.
Oh, it was Guatemala?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's with Smile Network doing this.
Oh, I thought it was with H2O.
No.
Misunderstood.
So that's why they went there for a mission to doing some surgery. With
dental.
There's a leap,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's...
cleft palate.
Yes, cleft palate. I never remember that name, cleft palate.
Yeah, that was my misunderstanding. I thought it was the fellow at H2O for Life.
Africa is a long way. It's Guatemala.
It's still from Minnesota, very different. But still amazing. You arrive and quickly go to Guatemala.
Yeah. For a week. Yeah.
For a week. Okay. Well, good. So what do you have ahead for you in the next 2 weeks?
Like getting to know Well, see, much better.
That's what I said. I've been taking her to meet lots of people, and I was just sharing. I'm like, I don't think that we've really sat down and dug into NYLC. We haven't really dug into NYLC programs at all and shared.
Yeah, but just the network. But NYLC right now is about its network.
It's
in
about
a
the
lot
network.
of ways. Yeah.
But also, I'm just, the IPARD process, the 4 stages of service learning, the trainings that we do around that, so that.
Yeah, I think building on that, we can set up more collaborations. When Amy comes to China, like Beijing in August, this can be a very faster process to work on the collaboration part.
You're going in August, good for you.
Well, it's not confirmed,
so
we have to wait for confirmation.
But either with professional fellow or we invite you, that's we can make it work.
We'll figure it out. We want to work more in China, don't we, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. My heart's there. Yeah. Maybe a little, and then we'll start answering questions that help you.
That'll be great.
For just
Sure.
a moment.
Yeah. So my background is education. I was a teacher, social studies teacher for 11 years.
Yes.
And then I was a special education teacher for a little bit. Special education. Okay. It's a growing concept in China. Yes. And in that time, leaders in education would come visit our school and visit my room, and they'd say, "Oh, you do service learning." I said, "Okay, I don't know. I just teach the way I teach." But they said, "No, you doing this is you don't know it, but this is your style. You do this." Okay. So I grew interested in that field and started saying, "Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, I could do this better." So I learned more. I went to the Department of Education for a little while, did some work, and then I became a principal of a high school very near here. In that time, the Somali community, I was running a school, they began to arrive in large numbers. And this mosque was the first mosque built by the Somali community in Minnesota.
Oh.
So this was a building, it was a theater, it was a bar, it was many, many things. But they were able to rent a small space and then eventually purchase the building. But you know the phrase 9/11? Yes. So 9/11 occurs, and to be Muslim in the United States after 9/11 is very difficult. You don't feel safe. And so they approached me and said, "We're wondering if we could do our children's training on weekends in your school. We would feel safer not being in the mosque." And I said, "Of course. If we're empty, my building's empty on the weekends, not a problem. My only rule is we have to get to know each other." So this was 18 years ago. I've stayed in relationship, and we built a school in that time. I said, "Well, my building's empty at night. If you can find me 20 students who are looking to go to school because they're working during the day to send money home to their families, we'll start a school at night." A week later, they brought me 220 names. I have to go quickly and find teachers and these things. And the school became kind of famous. It was famous because I found the Somali diaspora. So they have the Civil War, destruction, the entire, from prime ministers, presidents, cabinet members, to nomadic people arrive all together.
Is it from Somaliland? No, it's from Somali.
All. Somaliland in the north, they separated, and they didn't produce as many refugees in the world as Somalia, but there are, I think it's 1 million refugees, Hong Kong, Minnesota. In the Twin Cities, we have the largest in North America. So the largest concentration of the Somali community. But because we have the former president, the former prime minister, these sort of things living here now, we have access to such diversity the community. So there were many people who were capable of becoming teachers, could play large roles. Like in all countries, if you want to become a teacher in Beijing, you have to get a license, you have to all these things. So they arrive, and their records are gone. They cannot arrive with, here's my documentation to prove my education. It doesn't exist anymore. It's been destroyed. So they were trapped. So I found routes to help people get employed in the school. So now we have a school where I have adults from the age of 75 to 15 wanting their high school diploma. This was very radical because the people who were 75 years old or 50 years old, they'd never had a chance to an education. They wanted a high school diploma. In the United States, there's different routes to get a high school degree. When you're an adult and you haven't achieved it, there's called an adult basic education or an equivalent. The thing is, if that adult goes to find a job, somebody with what's called an ABE doesn't get any more respect than somebody with no diploma. The ABE is not respected out in the world. So here we were saying, Somali refugees arrive, get an ABE and go find work. This was a route to poverty. So I said, I will find a route to get you each a high school diploma, true diploma. And that's what they wanted. So it became very big. People from around the world came to visit. And again, service learning was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish. That built my relationship to the community. This mosque is, again, the oldest. I'm a governing member of this mosque. I'm not Muslim myself. This is very strange to the world. That why would somebody who's not Muslim be allowed to be a governing member?
I thought you were Muslim.
No, I'm not Muslim. Never in my life. I love the Muslim community, and I am drawn to the ideas, but I am just simply one who likes the diversity of the world. And so for 18 years we've been working together, and I've been doing this work for democratic purposes, for civic purposes. My city, when everybody's the same, democracy seems easy because there's no challenge. But when a new comes in and says, I see the world differently, I want to live a little bit differently than you, democracy says, okay, we will figure out how to make this work. But that is also the challenge. The Muslim community, the Somali community, has called Minnesota to be, are you going to be democratic or not? Yes or no? It's simple when you are all white people who thought basically the same way. But now somebody wants to live in another way. How do we make that mix well? So when you were working in southern China and you're working with people, there's one way to say, okay, we're going to train you to be just like us, or we're going to give you a voice and allow you to find your direction and path and your dignity with us, together, in something new. China's always struggled with that. Thousands of years has been a part of its history. Minnesota's new to this, but it's the challenge we're in. So that's why I'm here. I'm dreaming of how do we build a democracy truly now that we're being called to it. So after running the school, I then found my way to NYLC. Amy hired me. She'll cry in the car about it and say, oh, it's so difficult.
Biggest mistake.
Just say it's okay. Help her. Okay. And again, it was a time. I don't know if you know. When I was a teacher, somebody came in and said, "Oh, you're a service learning teacher." I said, "I'm a what? What's that?"
I'm doing what?
Yeah.
It has a name?
Yeah. And it was there when I really started to dig into the practice deeper. I'd already received my master's degree at that point, and I began to start thinking my doctoral work. And a lot of the values that I cared about, those democratic ideals, began to take shape in how they tied to how we teach, what education is. So my doctoral work, in Minnesota, we have charter schools. Okay. Many of the charter schools have a very specific focus. Yinghua is Mandarin. Okay, so I was a part of beginning that school. And it was because I and others had daughters, and we said, we want them to have a sense of that culture, the identity, and language is so powerful. To know what it means. My daughters are in this white family with all their uncles and cousins, white. Who am I in this? When they have language, when they grow up in a world where they have a sense of dignity and knowledge, it helps, I think. So Yinghua is done that way. We have many schools right now that serve almost exclusively East African population of students. So in this city, there are 9 charter schools that serve 100% Somali or Oromo Ethiopian population. They were designed to create an environment that says it's okay to be Muslim, you can know who you are and join this, world. The problem was we use you in an abusive way.
That's just new.
Minnesota trains its teachers, and most of them are white women. Race is a big issue in the United States. Everywhere in the world, but in the United States, it's very powerful. So white women come, and they're looking to become a teacher, and they're young, and they don't have a lot of experience, and suddenly they're in a school with 100% Somali. They're in a culture shock, but they represent the power. They represent the rules, what everybody's supposed to know, but they don't know how to teach this population. There's a gap there. What I studied was, in that moment, how does the teacher figure out what to do? We tell teachers what to teach, not how to teach. We talk about it in college, but for the most part, teachers arrive and they go, well, what do I do? They go back to the way they were taught when they were children. No matter what they were taught in college, they go back to what's more instinctual, which is a very white, doesn't really honor the cultural background, the interests, the values of the community they're serving, yet the school was designed to be that. But it's not, because the teachers aren't prepared for this. So where my focus has been is methods like service learning. How do you gain the voice of the student, of the community, of the parents to share in the space of, if I said I want everyone to learn this piece of information, mathematics, language, history, whatever it is, its value, its meaning, its purpose, those are all culturally bound. Even mathematics' purpose is understood through a cultural lens. So if a teacher says to everybody, okay, in the next 2 weeks, my second grade class is going to work on honesty, important civic skill. Parents, community members, how have you learned? When you were a child, how did you discover the idea of honesty? How were you taught? So I can bring in those ideas into my room, and so now I'm teaching the child not only the idea of honesty, but I'm also teaching that your culture, your family, your history is not just something that we want to throw away and say that's no longer relevant, come be like me, but it helps inform. And so now you form a partnership in the development of children. Service learning is very helpful for that, because service learning from the beginning wants the young person to say, okay, how is this useful? What's the meaning of this information? It wants to solve problems, but it also wants to explore what's the value of knowing this. If we can train teachers to get beyond their own cultural lens and learn there's another way of knowing its value from a student perspective, from a family perspective, from a cultural group's perspective, I now open myself up to be in partnership with the world, and we'll all develop a healthy child together. So that's what I've been chasing for the last number of years, and why I remain here, and it drives my work here. I'll do a last little talk about some of the things. 10 years ago, our organization, which is called Open Path Resources, we were asked to do a study on out-of-school time. They wanted to know what are the programs out of school that are working well for the Somali Muslim children. And we said, that's not a very good idea, because based on what? What criteria would we use to decide what's good for these children? There's no study out there that said what's good for Somali children in the United States. There's not such a thing. So there's nothing to really pull a criteria. So what we said was, what we'd like to do is help discover what that criteria perhaps is. And so we interviewed one-on-one interviews over a 2-year span. Family members, homeless youth, struggling youth, successful youth, faith leaders, nonprofits, and we said, the primary question we asked was, by the time imagine a child growing up here, Muslim, by the time they're 24 years old, what's the outcome you say must be achieved? What's the end we're after? Because if we can name that, then we can start to evaluate, do the things we do produce this? Because just to say it's popular or it's good or it's liked or it's getting good scores doesn't tell us, does it produce? And we wanted the community to name what that outcome was, to be a part of naming. What was amazing was all 500 plus, and it's been since, said the same 4 things over and over and over again. Because we got the same 4 things, we have a community mission statement. We want this for our next generation. This is why we are here, and this is what we must work for to produce the human beings that we want in the world. So those 4 are well educated. And it's more complicated than it sounds. Very simple, but it has nuance to it. Is my English okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well educated. Second, to know what it means to be Somali American. We want our children to grow up knowing they come from a heritage and an identity that is American, but it's more than just simply a race in America. When the Somalis arrived, they were told, no, you're not Somali, you're African American, you're black, you're a race. And they said, what's that? And they looked around the United States and said, wow, this is not good. This is not the high achieving outcome. To be African American in the United States is a beautiful thing and a very complicated thing. So they worried about this. They wanted identity tied to heritage and family history. The third was that 24-year-old must know their relationship to God. They must know their relationship to their religion. We are a deeply religious people, and if we arrive here and our children lose their religion, and that's so central to who we are, disaster. We shouldn't have come. Fourth is that they need to be a leader, a civically engaged leader. And so we said, well, how are we doing on those 4? Education, the boys are struggling. You know about the achievement gap, opportunity gap, these things that we face. The Somali boys face them. But in general, they feel some excitement about where things are possible, the opportunities. The identity on heritage, disaster. They say they have no sense of, we can't even across generations talk to each other. They see themselves as a race, we see themselves as a cultural heritage, and we don't get along, and then we just... Religion, disaster. The children don't feel any connection to the faith. They're leaving the faith in droves, and we don't know what to do. Disaster. The fourth one, civic leader, they said, how can you be the kind of leader that we need if you're not the first 3? If you're not representing your history, your culture, and knowing who you are in the mix of the whole, and bringing that, they worry without the education, these things. So they said the family is the fundamental place that we need to address. We need to make families stronger, more capable of producing those children. So I say all this because the things like camps. Camps are built on a model that says we're going to take your children and we're going to make them amazing. We know what they should be. We're the experts in what children should be in the world. Trust us. We'll take them over here and make them so. That can be okay if we're all culturally essentially the same. But the more you get into the diversity, these families say, you're taking my children and telling them to be something other than what we dreamed. And you're quietly telling them your historical, your cultural ways are old and should be thrown away. You're not from something great, but come be something great because our camp will train you to be so. So that was always my concern with the model, was how does a place like a camp engage the voice and the values of where the children come from so that they know they come from greatness. They just didn't get it because you liked them and you cared for them. They came from and they joined you and they grew, but they brought. And the only reason that gets possible is if the camp or the organization knows how to bring that in, how to value and give voice to that part of that young person's life. So it's grown. So I kind of told you that whole piece for the purpose of how I imagine camps in the future, education in the future is going to have to come to a greater understanding of how to relate to the diversity. The Western world thinks China is not diverse. China is incredibly diverse, incredibly culturally diverse. And always working on how are we going to resolve this? How are we going to deal with this? That's where I share this with you. It's that constant struggle. How do you develop, how do you create something that's a special opportunity, but not pretend that we're the ones who will produce your greatness? How does a camp create a partnership and engage that youth, that family, that community in what do we want these children to be? That's hard. So that's my work at OPR. There's other elements. I'm also with NYLC, and we're growing that, and we'll see where that goes. I do believe that service learning is going to play a larger role than just school youth development. It's going to, in every space that we're trying to develop a next generation into something, let's do that as powerfully and as authentically as possible. Service learning is an important resource for that. And so that's what draws me. So that's my story.
Oh, that's a lot of information that needs to unfold. Right. Yeah.
And then I have to, and we can transition, but I have to show my children too. As soon as I can find photos. What's the thing with photos in it?
Here, photos is here. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you save everything.
Here's my wife and my daughter Ava in
Wow.
Shanghai at the Pearl.
Wow. Yes, that's the very tall center.
Yeah.
Paris.
Yeah, we were in Paris just a... Oh, so that'll work. So this is my family.
Wow.
And Sophia from Wuhan.
Oh.
And Ava from Guangzhou.
Oh,
and
wow.
my wife Michelle and
Oh my
this whole
goodness.
cast.
I know him. Oh.
And I'm like a father, and I think, why does my daughter wear such clothing? But what can I do?
Yes. The one thing that I'm so amazed here is like the also Ava, like in my whole family, she always wear very, very like little. Like I think
It's so...
Are you cold? No. She wears sandals. I wear boots.
Yeah. But I'm just a father.
Are they cold, or they are really because they eat a lot of protein, or they don't?
No, I think it's more a focus on how they
look.
So they might be cold. They're never going to admit it.
Oh.
They're not going to say yes because no, that would mean they would have to change what they're wearing.
Yeah.
And no, there's very much a focus on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was very lucky when my daughter was that age. She was not like, she didn't dress like that. Like it was a thing. Like all the and
she didn't
there was
drive
a
her
divide.
parents crazy.
There was a divide. You could see it in the classroom and with friends because
she still doesn't wear makeup or, she just, she's Emily.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't talk about the international work and things like that. This is Somalia, and I was also in Somaliland.
Yeah.
And I'll be there again this summer, I'm sure.
Wow.
And Turkey, as I'm sure Amy has shared. So lots of opportunities. And that one is sort of like the idea of Xinhua, in that to grow up Muslim here in the United States, it's very difficult because the messages are very negative, very, you don't grow up saying, wow, I'm respected here, I'm appreciated, my identity, my faith, my beliefs are welcome. They haven't been. They're surrounded by concern and suspicion. Are you, what are you trying to do? So to grow up with that is hard. So we developed this program to go to Turkey because to go and feel the life of being Muslim in a place that is Western, but also Muslim identity, gave them ideas of, maybe I can see myself in this world differently than I understood. You can't get that inside your own community. You have to get outside to understand more of who you are. You know this, right? You went to Kenya and it was so transformative. You couldn't have had quite that transformative moment inside Beijing. It's not possible. You have to get outside. So that's what we were after, and that's where Amy helped us so much.
Not so much, but trying to.
Yeah. So, and that's a big part of why I value China so much myself again, is because there's another.
Wow. But they really look like each other. Like I see.
Right. You see, that's the Americanness, Like if we go to China, if they walk around, immediately people say, "Oh, that's an American." But her in particular, her accent is, if you heard her speak, I think you would say she doesn't have much of an accent.
Oh.
But how she carries herself is not Chinese. She carries herself like her parents, like this. And so, I think they're from different parts. One's a tiny southern,
Yes. Is it because? But now she's younger. That's why she's shorter than.
No, she'll always be quite a bit shorter.
Oh, okay.
She'll always be under 5 feet.
Sophie's tall.
Yeah.
5'6", just like that.
She just turned 16. She's not going to grow too
No,
much.
she's a
17?
senior. She's 17. She'll turn 18.
16. She's got her license.
Yeah. She'll be a senior next year. 18 in next March. Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
No. It's so hard to be a parent to watch your children grow. Yeah, but it's joy.
Yes. Their growth so graceful.
I had her, I stopped her aging process about a year,
I did
2
it with
years
your
ago.
kids too.
Yeah, it's like they're done.
I saw her son just yesterday.
Yeah. Not yesterday.
2 days ago?
2 days ago.
Yeah. He hasn't changed since? Okay.
Well, he might have. He's gone now, so.
Yeah. And so it's amazing thing. So anyway, that's my girls, and they're a big part also of my career and my values, where we go and the work I've done. Maybe also quickly, these posters represent a lot of this place, our values, how we do our work. So it is a faith center, it is a mosque, but it's also a statement that Islam and democracy align. They fit together. They are not in opposition to each other, and this is how we work to prove that to the world. And that's why I can work here, because this place is more than simply advancing Islam, it's advancing a justice in the world and a civic effort. And so this is how we lead, this is the reasons, this is the things that guide us. And so, and that's some research we had published. We've been published in a few academic journals in medicine around breast and cervical cancer screening and some youth development pieces. And it's been a good experience. So
and have more questions.
Yes, please.
Let's maybe start from the beginning. So why you choose education from bachelor to PhD? Like what from?
That's so long ago.
Yeah,
so,
1989.
You did?
I looked into her LinkedIn. Like,
okay.
Yeah, that was really amazing. Tons of experience. Click.
1989, and began as a teacher. My mother was a teacher.
Oh.
And she wasn't a teacher once she started having children. But it was always her greatest pride. I went to college. I have a degree. I was a teacher. And, you love your mother. And it was the source of what she really loved about herself. So I think that came into me. I became a social studies teacher just because that was the area I most enjoyed. There were no jobs for such teachers. But I went with where my heart took me. I loved teaching so much. Of my career, it's the thing I was best at. You'll have jobs where you say, I was really good at that job. I was not so good at that job. The best I've ever been is a high school teacher. I wouldn't go back, and I do miss it. But the world is also small. You go to the school and you have the class, and then you work, and then you go home and you do more work, and then you go back. It's hard to feel a part of the things you're talking about. I was talking about all the things I do now, but I wasn't a part of it. And so,
is that the reason why you left?
Yes, I left, but also Amy knows me well enough that it'll sound funny, but there's a truth in it. When you work at a place, and I was there from the very beginning in the school. I started the school, there were 5 kids. By the time I left, there were about 2,000. I had an opinion about every little thing in the school, whether we should order pencils, everything. So you sit in staff meetings, and you've experienced this, I know, in your life, that there's always at least one person that is just a pain. Will you just let go? I was the pain. I knew it. I just cared about everything, had to say everything, that about me. and I saw it. I could look in their faces and say, oh, I don't want to be this for the rest of my life. I think I'll just get worse. So at the time when I was so in love and just the happiest and feeling very good at my work, I quit because I thought I don't like the man I was going to become. So that's what you would see in my resume. Every once in a while I just turn. I go 5, 6, 10 years, turn, different. And that's kind of been the story of my professional life.
Is it because you were very involved and you're very involved in the things that you're passionate about, and then it becomes obsessed with?
I, like everybody, bring their good qualities and your bad qualities to your work. When you're passionate, you bring intensely your good and intensely your bad. At some point, you start to say, is this good for me or bad for me in this moment? And I just decided I wanted to grow in a different way, reshape. You left your marketing world, your communications world, and went on a different path. Why did you do that? Sometimes there's a calling, sometimes it just sort of you fall into it too. It's like that. And the falling part, allowing it, giving yourself permission to do something fearful and just see if it will go. That's what I call my left-hand turns, just do something different.
Will you still miss the job that you did?
Yeah, very much. I was a dishwasher when I was 16 years old. I missed that job. I love people, and I love being social, and I have never been in a place where I couldn't make the place I work someplace I really enjoy. I've had times when, okay, I don't like this environment, and I become very aggressive against it because I want it to be a place I love working. But I love easily where I work and the people I work with. So that's been my secret to that.
Abundance of love.
Yeah. And that can work well, or it can be disaster too. You know, it like I say, we all bring our good and our broken parts. You know. So.
And you also mentioned that someone told you that you were doing service learning. So what did you do at that time? If you can remember.
I was experimenting a lot. One of the things I remember that service learning helped me to understand, because I knew I had a problem, but I didn't know how to fix it. I had students going to nursing homes, senior care, to go spend time with elderly. And I saw it so good for my kids, and I presumed it was certainly good for the elders, you know, to get some visitors and young kids and things like that. But what I learned was the kids would go and they'd build a relationship, and that person would say, oh, this person comes on Tuesdays to visit me. And then that young person's time was done, and they would not go there anymore. And break the heart and do more damage than good in the end.
Yes.
I didn't know how to fix that. I knew I wanted relationship. I knew I wanted to, but I didn't understand how I was going around and having my kids save those people. I was so happy about what it produced in my young people, very proud of themselves. But they were proud because they were helping those lower people. That didn't make them better people. It made them happy and confident and leaders, but not better people. It made them feel superior to lesser people. And that wasn't the world I was after. So service learning put me on a path of a new line of study to think about what I was doing, so that when I went to the Department of Education, I joined the service learning department for a period of time. I did a lot of training, and I learned the practice. And made every mistake 4 times. I would make the mistake, and then I would forget, and I'd make it again, and then I'd forget, and I'd make it again. That's what I do.
So what is the way to shift the students' position, they feel superior, or the mindset? What is?
Yeah. When I came to NYLC, I was working on a project that was kind of NYLC, kind of not. The translator book. Dawood Hari.
Oh, yes.
So Dawood Hari was a man who had escaped up from Sudan and the civil war there, and he wrote a book. And the publishing company approached me and said, we have this beautiful book written by Dawood Hari, and we were wondering if it would be good for elementary school kids. And in it's a beautiful book, but in one scene, a baby is taken away from the mother and hit against a tree. Killed. That moment, I knew that book could not be just given to elementary kids. Because the teachers aren't prepared for that moment. And we don't recognize sometimes the trauma that children bring in their lives and to such one, and that could be a terrible trigger. Love the book, and then that moment sends them off into crisis, and the teachers aren't ready for that. So we started writing a curriculum to support that book to see if we could help teachers. So this is my answer to you. One of the things we came up with was this thing called concentric circles, which was pick any issue in the world. If you say, I want to take on hunger. Okay, well, it's a very big issue. Narrow it down. I want to deal with hunger in Kenya in that refugee camp. Okay, you want to do that. that circle in the middle are all the people who are directly affected by the hunger issue in that camp. Do you know anybody in that village in Kenya? No, I don't know anybody. Then you cannot go from where you are right to that, because that sets up, I'm going to help them build that, right? That's what the model's built on. I'm going to go save those people that I don't know, but it will make me feel good to help those poor people. What you do is you then say, what's the next circle? The next circle are the people who are in direct relationship with the people who are directly affected. And you say, do I know anybody there? No, I don't know anybody there. Okay. You keep making circles. Do you know somebody who's working with somebody who? Do you know an agency? Do you know Save the Children who does the? So now you say, I want to affect that hunger issue or that justice issue in that camp. My first step is never to the middle or the second or the third when I don't know anything. My first step is to go to a person I have direct relationship who moves me closer to the middle and work with them and support their work that will help moving in. My job is not to fix hunger. My job is to work with somebody here who is advancing. And that way, I'm in my right place. It's now more appropriate level of politics. But it also causes you to say, okay, well, that's not my inner circle. Am I in an inner circle? Am I a primary stakeholder in any social justice issue that I can be inner circle and work upon? Now, I can find those, and I can say, now, who's the outer ring who's going to help me? Instead of just going to the government, instead of just going to. How do I act to, so it works going in, but it works going out as well? That's my answer. And I think it's fundamentally important in service learning.
Yeah, true. That's very true. And also, like, okay, maybe that's also answered my several questions, because you also work with volunteer of America, like a lot of volunteer programs. Many volunteer programs in China, like either they're serving like in China or they're going outside, are more like advertisement. It's not truly. It's more like this helicopter, and then you just go.
Right. We call that missionary a lot.
Missionary.
I go to save, to fix, I pop in, I give my kindness, and then I go. Again, I feel very good about myself. The people I serve sometimes feel much worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So Volunteers of America was the name of the nonprofit. I ran their schools. My job was to be the principal of 4 schools, within their nonprofit. So I didn't deal with volunteerism per se, as much as I dealt with inner city schools.
And then you were writing the curriculum for play pumps.
Yeah, and that's kind of that early when I started. Yeah, play pumps. So that was in Kenya. Were you connected?
But I heard like play pumps, like someone did this evaluation saying like it was a really like innovative like model, but then the kids actually have to play several times, and in order to. So do you? I'm not quite sure whether it's true or
it collapsed as a program, because one of the things they were accused of is putting something into a village that the villagers now made the children work on. That it became like they became workers of the toy rather than enjoying. And so our effort at that time was working with Maddie and the famous AOL people.
I don't remember. That was actually, I think,
very wealthy people had hired NYLC to help with this curriculum. That's my first touch on NYLC, was working on that curriculum. And there again, I was exploring the idea, how do you support something like play pumps, which is in Africa, way over there in Minnesota. Let's help Africans. They're so hungry. They're so sad. How do I not produce that tone in my classroom? So that was where we explored how to learn to know and care about other first, before we try to fix or save or engage. Find relationship first, and that's what that was about, that curriculum.
And you said my kind of transformation is going out, right? Leaving Beijing and going out to others. So what is your transformation time? Are you also somewhere else?
It never ends. I don't have I have singular moments. My children, coming into my life, adopting my first daughter, Sophia, changed my life. Marrying my wife changed my life. Joining NYC changed my life. It's this never-ending experience. I say I take these turns. It's because I anticipate every turn is going to give me an opportunity to rediscover that. Maybe I'm addicted to that feeling of, I had no idea I could be like, the world will be like. That joy of and wonderment that you feel in those moments about yourself, about the world. I crave it. I seek it. And so there are 100 moments I could give you, and I pray there are 100 ahead of me. So it's...
Oh, yeah. So more like a risk taker or adventure seeker in that way?
A little bit. I think when you say you looked at my resume, there's a narrative that makes sense. There's connections. I have a set of values and an idea I'm building and building and building, but its meaning, its application, who my friends are in that work, that changes all the time. But I am still very close to students I taught 25 years ago. They are still in my life. The teachers I taught with are still in my life. Each place I have sat down, I still, I would say, for the most part, remain in relationship. And so it's not I turn and throw everything away. It builds.
And how does NYLC change your life?
It gave me a larger playground, a national and a global playground. I wanted those things very badly in my life. And so it gave me that opportunity. It gave me smart, ethical people to work alongside. It gave me heart attacks at times too. When your heart is in, pain comes too, right? So it was the whole life experience. So NYLC gave me authentic places to further build what I cared about, what I wanted to work. And I took on things they wanted me to work on, but I found ways to take my values and my thinking about the work and meld it. Project Ignition became the Teen Driver became a very complex, I think, very advanced service learning project and youth leadership program because I was allowed to grow and work with other people and allow them to influence instead of it's like this, do this thing. It was allowed to be, we were allowed to grow it. So NYC allowed me that.
And now you are the organizational development, right?
Yeah, and that's really about a vision of where will we go. NYC is in a transition, always is in a transition, but NYC is in a transition of what it's dreaming about and how it does work. The field of service learning is in some degree of transition. We're struggling with what does the service part mean? Do we create this missionary? The volunteerism, is that? We don't mean it. But the work we're producing so often produces people who just do that. How do we better instruct and guide? I think sometimes we've trained people and they've gone out and done things we didn't care about. I think we've aligned ourselves with organizations that are kind of like us, but work in a direction that actually undercuts what it is we're fundamentally trying to say. I think there are organizations we work with that would want to come and work with your camps, and I think that would be bad for you. And there are friends. I don't think they add to the theory in the healthiest way. And so how does NYLC grow that it's not just us who know the right ideas, but the field better understands what we can be doing, what we ought to be doing in the world today?
And how to make the field know?
Well, that's where our convening comes in, where the online network comes in. You know, that partnership development and bringing knowledge, like sharing ideas and knowledge, has never been that's always come, I won't say easy, but that's where we excel. It's like Mike said, there's a lot of people that take the ideas, and it's, I always say, service learning is not easy. It's not an easy practice, especially when you're not taught it in college as you're like becoming a teacher, and you know, it's something that takes time. It takes effort to bring youth voice in, to, you know, to actually build a model that gets to those student outcomes. You know, and so there are a lot of states, a lot of school districts, a lot of schools that have said, oh, you need those 20 hours of service, and then they call it service learning because it's done in school. Well, volunteering to go meet with the elderly is not service learning, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and you can do more damage than good.
And so, you know, that's kind of where we are, is like, how do we advance the quality service learning that gets to those student outcomes and build the partners.
And I think Amy's done a good job. We've had to survive a window of time of education. I was in China in 2006 as a part of a delegation of school leaders from Minnesota. And the commissioner, the head of education for the state of Minnesota, was in the trip. And we met with the vice premier of China. Very wonderful. And around a table like this. And he said to us, you know, we have the best test takers in the world. We dominate all global examinations. We will, for a very long time, for as far as we can see in the future, China will dominate all national, international examinations. We will have the highest scores. It's just the way that's going to be, the way our system is. And we have generations of lost children. We have become so focused on examination. Our families have become so focused on getting an education so their child, their prize, can get that opportunity, that wealth. And no one is moving through the education system and thinking about its purpose and its value to the community. It's a private ownership idea now. So the heads of the Communist Party tell me there are no more communists in, you know, the values that are deeper, you know, about, you know, the justice issues. And I thought, wow, to sit at a table and have the vice premier say this to me is like, you know, everything we know about how Chinese government works on such things. It was a shocking moment. And I even now I flush a little bit. And then we looked over to our leader, because it is now her turn to speak, our commissioner, and she quietly, she looked up and she said, we're going to beat your test scores. We're going to beat your test scores. This is the mentality in the world now. She didn't hear his message. She didn't hear him saying, nobody's better at this, and I'm telling you, take my warning. Before you go down this road, think. She could not hear that. She only could hear competition, testing. We will be the best. We will be the best. Minnesota's the best education in the world. You watch. I'm in charge of education. We're going to have the best. And I quietly just collapsed. NYLC has had to survive that environment. NYLC is about authentic, powerful learning that's tied to justice issues, that's tied to family, it's tied to the child's sense of, you know, what needs to happen in the world and their ability to make a difference in the world. That is not serve teachers well when I have to get them ready for that examination. So when teachers say, what should I do? Should I do what I think is powerful and why I wanted to become a teacher, or should I do what the principal and everybody's yelling, and if I don't do that, I get fired? Choose. So right now, we have 1/3 of all teachers quit by the 3rd year of their profession in the United States. They're disconnected from what they wanted to be and who they thought they would be and what's expected. And simply teaching is hard, right? So NYLC has had to survive this mania for testing. Its survival in coming out of this and doing something meaningful will be things like relationship to China, relationship to Turkey, relationship to parts of the world, but not just to come in and do a workshop. Honestly, that's lovely if you do that, but if she comes in and does a 2-week workshop, it does not advance NYLC. If it builds a relationship and you're building together work that is transformative and that you are informing each other and you're in development, co-development, that's worth it. If it's bring the experts in and we'll tell you what to do, goodbye. I'm happy for you, and I don't mean to slow down any kind of a trip, but it does not advance NYLC. It does not change things. You will benefit. So even from a 2-week presentation, you will benefit. NYLC will not. NYLC needs to find relationships that we are building together. So as you have developed, these long-term partnerships with institutions, my dream would be that IDEA would build such a relationship with NYLC to develop this way of understanding how we impart meaningful leadership in that young people see themselves as providers in the world rather than just receivers, but in a justice-oriented way, not just a feeling better than other people way.
Is there any, maybe you can share some of the examples of this, co-development and partnership that NYLC has already developed with?
Yeah, I think it's ideal that, Amy, you would go and you do a workshop, but it's about beginning a process of building together, that it would have to be an overtime process, that a core leadership would have to come to terms with what is this thing and how does it relate. We can't come and say, here's how you do it at your kids. It's antithetical to everything I stand for, as far as you can't go to another people and tell them how they ought to live. But you can bring ideas and resources, say, let's together figure this out. And that's relationship, and that's trust, and that's love, and all these things. Working over time in a manner that I think NYLC does, I believe in. And that's why I'm at NYLC, is we're continuing to develop that process. As you say, Amy, come in August, imagine who will be that core that will work with Amy for the next 2 years in developing a vision that's profound, that isn't just the latest good idea, but is at the very center of who you wanted to be anyway. IDEA has a set of values and ethics and beliefs that it wants, and it's not reaching all of them. So you're always looking for ways to be better at that, not just go do this, go do that. That's time that takes time.
Yeah, that's right. Everything in China probably needs fast. And,
Here too.
Yeah.
And especially if you're selling something. If you're wanting to build something, it's slower. If I want to just sell you an idea and impress you and make you, wow, that's fast. But it doesn't change.
And we have, like Mike mentioned, we have partners who do that, who are like, here it is. And then you get that training, or you get that resource, and you have it, and then you don't know what to do with it. And that's why when we partner with school districts, we partner with other organizations for a longer term, because you're talking about changing the way people think and act, and how they've worked with young people and
instead of 4 young people. Like, we're changing behavior, which is a long-term process, and it's different everywhere we go. You know, and it's bringing in that cultural lens, and so.
Yep, I think that's a big part. And when you're changing behavior, that's a very human behavior is very complicated. Why we do what we do. So we get at belief systems. Why do you know, what are the values that guide your beliefs? And let those beliefs, let you explore that and make decisions about, okay, I believe this, but I'm doing this. What can I do? Okay, I want to change. That's all fine. How do I change? That's the process, right? If I want to get skinny, I can't just say, oh, I want to be, you know, that. I have to set up an entire process. Anyway, that's a terrible example, but.
But it's true. You're changing behavior.
Yeah.
You know, we have habits and things that that are part of who we are, and education is the same way. Youth leadership is. I mean, it's about developing somewhat. You don't just, oh, here's a leadership class, now you're a leader, right? Like, no, it's like, how do you put that into practice? What does that mean for you? You know, everyone brings a different leadership style and a little bit of everything. And so how do you build that and understand that and work on it then from core values?
Right. And no one can bring you your beliefs. We can help you surface them and have you say, am I focused on them? Am I valuing them? Am I making them important?
Are they part of my decision-making process?
Right. And that's a part of a process. But too often we come in and say, we're going to train you so you're going to change the way you act, the way you behave, the way you teach, the way you... That's just focusing on behaviors, and it won't last and it won't sustain because your beliefs will dominate. So that's the best way to work with NYLC. It's not the only way, but it is the best way.
I mean, it is. It is the best way. I thank you for saying that. You know, but we've also, you know, developed curriculum for people, or, you know, gone in and done the trainings, or, you know, the things that they want at this moment. But work hard so that we believe in coaching. We believe in, like, being there to, like, help facilitate the process, because it's a process. It's not one and done.
And each one's a step. You know, you do. Amy does a workshop in August. That's a step. You say, let's build a curriculum together. That's a step. There's all kinds of ways.
I think if we have more steps, then it could be like a process involvement.
Yep. And you can say, well, NYLC, what are the steps? And we'll say, we could only really develop that with you. You know, we could tell you, here's some things we've done, but the ideal is that it's conversational. Where do we want to go? Where do you need to be? Where are you in the process?
What is it that you're trying to accomplish?
Right. So, and from there, you build the right steps, as opposed to here are your steps you'll need. So, in one way, you're asking for that, and we're fighting you a little bit to say, yes, that can be done. That's not what is best for you. And yet, you don't bring it, like, say you want to bring something back to your organization. I met this group, and I'm not sure what they want to do with us. That's a hard place for you to be as well. So I would say in the next couple weeks, think about what are some of those steps that surface for you. Ask, does this work? Is this something that guide that conversation? And then if you engage me in any way, of course.
No, we're not going to. We don't like you.
That's probably true. I get that.
In case that you were so involved and you quit. Otherwise you want so longer.
So, no, I just track him. Come back.
I left NYLC in 2012, and here I'm still here. So, in the same way that I've been working in the Somali community in this mosque for 18 years. I've done many other things, but these are some anchor places for me now.
Do people here want kind of sense of loyalty? Because in China, like, if you are working for several organizations at the same time, then people think, you don't really have a loyalty to my organization. You're working with me while you are still working. This is some mindset.
I think there's truth in that. I think also the United States is changing. Technology is changing such that people are becoming very entrepreneurial. Because of the internet, you can work from home. You could be in your office right here, you know, or what you mostly do in your office, you can do anywhere on the planet. With that reality, organizations need to be less dependent upon that loyalty and simply find people that are in alignment, have the same values, do the kind of work, and advance the organization. And so I think the employer-employee are more about partnerships than ever before. And so entrepreneurial is probably the way the United States is moving more and more and more.
I'm also very curious about, so if you say you are not a Muslim, then why you are drawn to this Muslim religion? And you could switch to Buddhism, like if your daughter
and I'm drawn to Buddhism as well. And I just signed, or we just finalized a MOU, a memorandum of understanding, with Trinity Lutheran Church. So Lutheran Church just down the road. This is the oldest Lutheran church in Minnesota. They started Augsburg University, one of our oldest colleges. We are going to build a building together. This mosque, this faith community, that Lutheran faith community. We're going to build something brand new. That is, yes, you're a Lutheran, yet Christian, yes, you are Muslim, but together we can shape this community in new ways together. I'm drawn to the democracy. I'm drawn to any space that pushes the democracy to be better. And that's what I said before. When the Muslim community arrived, that was our greatest chance to be a better democracy. Because they didn't say, you all think alike, so therefore, you of course you get along. When two people don't think alike and they get along, this is your dream. So this is why I'm here. My hope for the world, they are my greatest chance to help build that. Because they're at that rough spot, that tension. And I'm a person who doesn't like to go to the streets and protest on signs, and I really don't spend a lot of time at the government end of things. I like being in the community and organizing in the work.
And how do you think that you have changed through all these years working with Muslim people? Does it change your value before?
Well, yeah, for sure, but it's hard to put into words. I've never had a longer working relationship than I have with the Imam of this mosque. His name is Imam Sharif Muhammad, and he is an amazing human being, very special human being. One of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life. And working with him and fighting with him and getting angry and loving him and all those things I could want in a friend and a peer, and he's provided me that opportunity. He's challenged because he's a faith leader, and so most of his environment, people just say, yes, whatever you say. He doesn't have that's a terrible idea. What are you talking about? So we value each other, and my best work in my career has come out of this place. The most influential work I've created in my life has come out of this place.
But you haven't become a Muslim?
No. I would describe myself as agnostic. Familiar? Okay.
Like so you don't believe?
I don't have a belief in the spiritual, the God space, but I love religion. I think religion is such an amazing, but I see it as a human construct. Something that humans made, where we have defined what morality is. What are the rules we should use to live well? How do we build this best world? How do we build this best life? I do not say God does not exist. I just don't stand here and say, yes, he does, or she. I don't hold my sense of, I know the truth of this. To be Muslim, you must say there is but one God. Right? And I can't say that and be fully truthful, so I'm not. Tomorrow, something may happen. I don't wish it to not happen. I don't wish it to happen. And everyone I work with here knows exactly where I stand. And I don't feel superior. I even have some jealousy to be in a community that's so strongly believing in an idea. It's beautiful. It's not mine, and I still love you and want to work with you.
You mentioned like the faith leader, like you think he's a good leader, right?
He's a great leader.
So what is a great leader?
Integrity, for sure. A very clear sense of values, and those values are tied to justice. I don't think I've ever met a leader that I would define as a leader that I didn't see they were tied to a belief of justice. And they wanted it so. And they understood integrity wasn't just following the rules, wasn't just belonging, wasn't just the rules of my religion say this. My religion exists to produce a justice. And then they will do whatever it takes to advance that. They're joyful. I think anybody who's a leader that is just miserable to be around, it's hard. She's joyful. I enjoy Amy that way. So that's, so there's the leader that I admire, and then there's the leader I want to work with. So it's that space.
And you talk about justice, democracy, right? So why is so important to you? Like, are you being treated injustice before? Why is you very attached to promoting democracy?
I don't know exactly, but I was a young boy in Minnesota when the Hmong community arrived. Minnesota at that time was white, Christian. The only conflict we had was the Catholics and the Lutherans argued. Both Christian, both essentially believing the same things, but difference of practices. Hmong arrived, shock, and they were treated terrible. And they were, they're here, they're getting free this, and they're bad people, and they don't believe in that. Somehow, in my life, I wanted to be with them. I wanted to be with the Hmong. I didn't see myself Hmong. I just was drawn to what was the other, different than. In a way, I grew up in St. Cloud, and my family is very proud of being Belgian. I have Belgian ancestry, and we talk about it. I was the only Belgian of ancestor in St. Cloud. There were no others. So I was a pride, and I think I translated that to I'm drawn to anyone else who sees themselves as outside a little bit. And then I went to college, and I started a soccer team, and that soccer team was Hassan, Igby, Chai, Lo, Yorn, Gir, Abdul, Faisal, Mike. It was so global. South Africa, Norway, China, Laos, players from all over the world, Saudi Arabia, all over, and it was so wonderful. My favorite part of my college life.
Yes, you remember their names.
Oh, yeah. It was joy. And I was so terrible, but because in St. Cloud, being white has power. So I had the key to the gym, and no one named Abdul, Chai, Lo, Gir, Yorn could be given access to the buildings. The institutions wouldn't have allowed it. Just racism. So they had to let me play because I had the key. Otherwise, they never would have included me because I was so terrible. But I was given opportunity.
Is it because of cute?
What?
Cute.
Cute?
Guilt.
Oh, guilt. Guilt. Okay, cute. I didn't know what guilt. That guilt that
You're doing the things that you are doing now.
No. I'm much too. No, it's joy. It is full happiness. And when you do things and you think, wow, that's meaningful work. That's good work. And I think every time we've done things together, you felt that. This is very authentic, meaningful, not just busy. Why would you do other?
Because I feel guilty. Like the reason I do nonprofits, I feel so guilty that I was born with those resources that not no one, like the one that I work with in the ethnic minority people, they don't have.
Yeah.
So I feel very guilty because I don't really own the resources.
Yeah, but the more you immerse yourself, the more you find you're lacking.
Yeah.
You don't feel guilty. You are the one missing so much. Go there and be filled and let them give to you and let them heal, improve, strengthen you. And you will get rid of the guilt because you'll come to understand how much you're receiving and how much you didn't have an opportunity to receive that was beautiful and good. And so now it's reciprocal, right? Now you're not just there to pay. You're there to receive. And then to discover that they welcomely let you receive. And, it's a pretty joyous place. So it's not guilt. It's more on the selfish end than it is on the,
Oh, that's really like a relief. I always feel like I own those people so much. Like, I could be with, like, I could born in their situation as well, but I wasn't just out of luck. Only because I'm lucky that I go to the best universities.
Yeah.
Although I tried very hard, but if I was born in another province with less education resources, I wouldn't be able to go to the university.
Right. So there's true. You've had access to best. You've had access to opportunities that others do not. Have you ended up with the best life?
How do you define best?
You see? So now you can go to a community who haven't had access to all those things, and they may be the holders of best life. How do you discover what that is from that and feel it and wear it and enjoy it? Because you have to unwrap that your narrative is the ideal. Because if you got the ideal and the best, then you should feel a little bit guilty. Right? You've heard me say this story before. I worked with a local school board. And so they oversee a school district, large district. And the school board members grew up in that district, and they were white. Again, I use race a lot in my conversation. And they so love that district. It is one of the best in the state of Minnesota. And they say, we are so proud and we want to protect all the things that it gave me. I wanted to give to the next. And then they'll also say, but now we have all this diversity. It's amazing. It's so wonderful. I love that all these people can come to our district and get exactly who we are, and they can become us. Their imagination is that they've held the true right way, the best way. And in that way, quietly destroyed others. Because they could never imagine that there are other roads that are as good and as beautiful. And there's our democracy at play. If you say, I'm the holder of the right best way, come. I welcome all of you, but be like me. It's not democracy. This is not the justice we want in the world. But if you come to say, okay, this is the road I took, and here's some things I value, and I offer, but now how do I open up an environment to create a new road for everyone to take their best path and create a greatest out of that? There's no guilt in that.
This is so wise. I never look into my way of thinking in through this way. So the reason why I feel guilty is because I thought mine is the best way to go. That's why they have, they lose the opportunity to come to, join my way. But if I see these are, different ways to go, and maybe the way that you choose is better for them.
Yeah, we like to think that choice, you've had more choices than others. But the truth is you didn't have so many choices.
You had a very specific road you had to be on. I don't know that you had more choices. You were a part of wealthier circles, part of wealthier opportunities, more resources, things like that. But it really calls into question best. And when you go to Africa and you see human beings that are so impressive and so beautiful and all these things, and they haven't had any of the resources, and yet you so admire the human beings you've met, you can start to touch what I'm talking about here. Yeah. So your gift isn't to make sure they get what you had. Your gift is to open yourself up and bring what you know and are, but discover something new.
Interesting. That's weekly report. I'm going to put this time. We have to write a weekly report to the organization. So that was really. And also, I also wondering, upon the 24-year-old, when they become adults, what would you want them to what would you want the young people, either they're Muslim or not, what kind of qualities do you think that are important in growing up?
For my children or for Muslim children?
For general, the youth, like regardless yours or Muslim, any religion, any country, because they are youth, I think, in general.
I want them to be active citizens. I want them to be members of community that are wise and know how to lead in justice and to know how complicated justice is. It's two true things that are in total opposite, and both are true. Community rights, individual rights. Unity, we are all together, and diversity, we are all unique. Both are incredibly beautiful and incredibly true, and can coexist. But in between there, finding and wrestling, what do we want? Diversity or unity? Which one? Where do we land? That process, knowing how to work on that, find justice, and wrestle, and still not say, now we know. That's what I want for my 24-year-olds. The capacity to discern what justice is and to work on that. That'd be a lot.
And have you mentioned what justice to you? What justice is to you?
That's what I say is primarily justice is a tension between two true things. Freedom is a good thing, right? Who can say freedom is bad? But freedom means I can do whatever I want. I can do anything I ever want. No, there's obligation, and there's the community piece. Well, which one's more? China sometimes has valued very much the community, sometimes very values. Well, what should China be? Somewhere here is where justice is. And who can say what it is for you or the world? But it's an argument. Justice is an argument between true things. And figuring out a way to have anyone who is in that center circle have voice.
That's a really great answer.
Thank you. It comes from China as much as it comes from my own voice or comes from service learning. Taoism, Confucianism, these are all things. This is not, anything I've said isn't new. This is as deep China as there is.
Somehow we kind of lose all those traditional theories. We never talk about them. Whether they were really outdated, and we're always looking into AI or in the future. Those are.
There are many distractions and new focus, but fundamentally, we as people on this planet, with global warming, with tensions and war and nuclear power and weapons, our truest work is figuring this justice piece out and knowing how to sustain it and pass on to the next generation. So what do I want for a 24-year-old? The ability to take on, with those skills, the world they face.
That will be they will become part of this tension, negotiation and argument process.
Right, and how to do it well, how to be political, because politics is just when two people engage, that's politics. But in there is power, in there is issues of justice, and how to do that well. That's the work.
Interesting. And some other questions, like, you helped founded a lot of schools, right? And then in China, like, there is a kind of buzzwords like PBL, like project-based learning,
yes,
like high-tech high. Those very innovative models around Silicon Valley, also in New York. People are coming here to visit and then to bring them back to China.
Social emotional learning is a big one these days.
Yes, and then So what do you think of those innovative schools?
I love them. It's great. There isn't one way, is there? I don't like the mentality in education that says if we just found the right model, then we do schools well. There isn't a right model. There is a world where in this time and place, this is an amazing model and can be used and be utilized and grow. And we can point out all the things wrong with it and all those things. But build one here. I don't believe in a universal, this is what's good for all, not even service learning, right? But each one of them brings opportunity and deficits, right? If you want to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, fabulous. That is certainly useful to the world. Do you know what any of those things have to do with justice? Are you going to build a technology world that will produce a healthier planet, a healthier people? Have you been practicing thinking about that? No, we're just learning the latest technology and the skills. So, do I want a school that's just talking about justice all the time? No. Have skills. Be entrepreneur. Develop. Build businesses. Build governments. Build families. All these things. But there are some core things that existed that I think are important for human beings and societies. That's why I'm tied to a faith center. Morality comes out of our faith, comes from those old voices. That's where your morality, what is good, what is valuable, what is to be human, even when you don't hold the faith, the origins of what you believe come from. And those faith centers should continue to play a role and wrestle and bring their understandings to a modern world, to this life, to the future. Not just somebody who believes in Taoism should be able to say, and this is what it means for our future, for us to be the people we must be. I believe in those schools too.
And how you build up your faith if you don't, belong to one religion?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a searcher. I seek. I explore. I read. I listen. I join. I try to keep open mind. I'm just committed to the idea I'm not going to say anything that I don't say is true to me. So I'm fasting today, right? I'm not Muslim. I don't see myself as going to be Muslim, but I want to, as well as I can, experience the community that I've joined here. And there are people that would say I'm a very religious, spiritual guy. I don't describe myself that way. My work, for a lot of people, that's the spiritual justice or okay, you can describe me that. I just don't honestly describe myself that way. In a year, maybe I will. I don't know. Take another left-hand turn.
All right. Maybe one last question.
Sure.
If you become famous, I mean, you already are famous, or what would you want to be famous for? Or what would you want people know you for?
That's an easy one for me to answer because I've been saying it all year. You've heard me say this time and again recently. One of the famous people that I so have admired that I got to know was Dr. Dorothy Cotton.
You work with her.
Yeah. And Dr. Cotton worked with Martin Luther King. A very, very influential person in history. And she was so tough. Very hard on me.
How tough? Like
poke me.
Verbally?
Verbal, emotion. Yeah, just Michael, no, you do not act, that will not work. Just very firm. And I loved her because of her legacy, because of the work she did. And so I accepted the mother-son kind of thing. But this is my point to you, what I'd want to be known. She said, I've traveled all over the world. I've been at the table to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. I've worked in universities. I've met presidents. I've been given awards by presidents. These things. Everywhere I go, I meet people say, I marched with Dr. King. I was on the marches. I was at the events. I saw the speech. I did this. And she said, Michael, and she poked me. I did the work. I don't go around saying I had all the events. I did all the work so those events happened. I did all the work so those events were not just events, that those events meant something would change. Because an event doesn't cause the change. All the daily work every day to cause a change was doing the work. And she said, Michael, do the work. So if I got famous for doing the work, that would be a big life victory.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I enjoy being with you.
Yeah, I think I'm also doing the work. I believe, or I try to do the work.
Yeah.
Process.
Especially the last 2 years.
Yeah. Amy does a lot.
Yeah. NYLC is in a place of having to just grind out, do the work. And it's been on her shoulders, and I admire her a lot for it. Yeah, I do. So
she did a lot of work for me, like during the past 2 weeks.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. So I hope we stay in.
Yeah, I stay in touch.
I know. What? I always tell you, if you don't see me write it down, it's not happening. I'm going to write it down. Okay, I'll put you on my to-do list.
I'm already on it for stuff.
Oh.
No, this
That's
is the to-do
last one, but I have more at home.
Okay.
So. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa Lee.
It's I.
Oh, so if your origin is Belgium, it's a kind of Vancouver, because Dutch people have this VAN.
Yes. So in an older way of knowing the people, they're Flemish.
Oh.
So the Flemish people go from the Netherlands into a part of Belgium.
Yeah.
The part of Belgium where my family comes from is Flemish.
Oh.
So my grandmother, she would say to me, Michael, 3 things, because she's from Belgium. 3 things. 1, you got nice teeth. That was her accent. Nice teeth. I don't anymore. 2, you're going to be a priest. 3, we don't like the French. Those were her 3 lessons for me. And I was like, yes, grandmother.
Don't like the French.
So she was in the States, like you did.
She was there during World War I. So and so when I was a little boy, she was there. And I said to her,
the French.
I said, Grandma, why don't we like the French? Oh, she says, Michael, I take my potatoes and I put them in my cart and I walk. I'm a little girl. I walk to France to sell my potatoes. Michael, when I come home, no potatoes, no money, no cart.
Oh,
just the French were educated, the Flemish were not. We were farmers. They would outsmart us. They would trick us. They would take everything, and we would be like, oh, they got us again. We hate them. So that's what it was. And
so you were born here.
Born here, but so I'm what we would call third generation. My father was born here, but his parents were born in Belgium. So that's the story of the United States. We all come from.
We all come from somewhere.
Yeah. And I was blessed, in my mind, to be a unique Belgium. But now I see China as my identity too.
So it's all part of you're building up your identity with life, with your family.
That's exactly right.
I bought someone. You know that, 不客气. That was the shadow here.
I know the
shadow play. Yeah. That was traditional Chinese.
You're so kind.
You're more than kind to me, like really sharing your life with me.
Oh, look at how beautiful.
Aww.
I'm going to cherish this. It's going to mean a lot to me. Thank you.
Sure. Your conversation, I will cherish what you have just said. Yeah, that was nice morning.
Well, we're kind of a package deal, so he just, he's always there.
I'm at her side. I follow at her side. So where you find her, you'll find me.
It's not a follow.
How did you know Michael?
Well, he applied for a project technician job back in the day.
Yeah. Did I?
I don't know how that happened.
No, I applied for a position at NYC, and they said you need to do project technician. I said, okay. I was a principal of the high school, and I had two daughters I had brought to the United States from another part of the world, and I didn't know them. I was working from sunrise to night, and then come home and do more work, and then get up early. And I loved my job, and it was so much, it was a lot of good things, but I didn't know my daughters at all. So I quit. And I was a stay-at-home father for almost 2 years. Being a stay-at-home father is so hard. And it pays zero.
I thought you were saying, it pays little, so where's the pay?
And she saved me. I went to NYC.
I don't think it was me, but...
Yeah, you and Maddie and Jim.
Yeah. I was there.
And that was the day the bridge went down. While I was interviewing, the bridge came down.
Remember, I think I shared with you the bridge we were driving over.
The moment I was interviewing at NYC and my phone was going.
Are you okay? Everybody was checking to make sure everyone was.
Yeah, there was a school bus with children. It was so bad.
Why among many those employers, you can choose different kinds of jobs. There are so many educational institutes. Why NYC at that time?
The people. I like Maddie. I knew her a bit beforehand. I knew of Jim. I had been to the NYC conference a couple times, so I had met Wookie. I was already kind of a service learning person. I had opinions about the field, and I wanted to affect the field of service learning. Yeah, that would be it.
So it's people and then your passion that brings.
Yeah, kind of it.
They'll come together for a reason.
Yeah. And they bring their garbage and their goods.
Exactly.
When you come, you bring the good and the bad. So I brought as much good and bad. And when you hear it coming out of my voice, you hear all the good. Always balance,
No, ask Amy.
Yes.
That part.
Yeah. But not in front of me. I
laugh. I remember some of the early conversations we would have, and we would just look at each other like, did we not, we talked about this? No, I don't have any recollection of us ever having this conversation. We did that many times.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
It's like, we think we talked about it, but I don't,
Yeah. But you were doing so many things, which was the joy of it. But things could get dropped.
good things happen.
So what then is your plan for the next 2 weeks? What are you going to be doing?
So maybe tomorrow and the day after, I'll have design thinking workshop at Youth Price.
So perhaps my family, there'd be an evening we could take you out for dinner.
It would be great to meet two of your daughters.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
They do. Both of them speak fluent.
My youngest is fluent. The older is. She has a learning disorder, so when it's spoken to her, it doesn't translate well. So in immersion school, disaster, because talk. You know, Chinese model, sometimes the teacher does everything. So for her, it was not effective. She does speak Mandarin, but not. Her confidence isn't high.
Okay, so we can switch between two languages.
Yeah, just you'll be patient with my older one and my younger one.
It would be great to meet them. I want to know their stories. And, you know, they're being together with you, and then.
And if you guys wanted to join us, or maybe you'll need a break from each other. Maybe you'll be very tired of her. But we could certainly go for a dinner. I leave tomorrow until Monday. So maybe after Monday. Where are you going?
I'm going to Missouri.
For a wedding.
I was just there. Yeah.
Were you just in Missouri?
Louis.
I'm going. My best friend is getting married again, and they have this like member point thing going with a resort down there, and so we're looking at wedding venues.
Cool.
But really, it's a girl trip.
Yeah. You're good.
And I need to make sure she does it right.
Yeah. So next week, maybe.
I think.
Right.
At the moment.
And I'll see you tonight.
Yes. Right here.
Yep. Here.
Yeah.
So the event starts at 7, but don't come at 7. Come a little bit later.
Yeah. I said 8.
8 o'clock. 7:30, 8 o'clock.
7:30.
Between there.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Very excited about tonight, and also thank you so much for the sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. A chance to talk about myself.
A lot of aha moments. Thank you. Why you love teaching? Is it?
I like to talk. And I like to tell stories. I like to make up big, beautiful stories. And so, and I really like students.
Students?
Yeah.
The younger ones, or doesn't matter?
All. The most fun I have is with the little ones, but I like to teach the older. I like to play with the younger and spend my day with the little bit. And I always taught students who were struggling. I taught kids that had chemical drug abuse problems. You know, that was my world, and I really enjoyed that. Helping somebody rediscover themselves, believe, find a future. And so that was how could life be better? You don't save them, but you get to witness it. Be patient while they, now you go. It was beautiful. So who wouldn't love that?
So you not only just have 2 daughters of your own, but you have so many your children.
There's some truth in that, but some people would describe it. I was their teacher. You know, father is much more complicated.
They don't listen to you as a parent after a certain point.
Yeah, that's right. And the students, they never listened to me, but that didn't upset me as much. I'll bring you to the...
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for introducing me. Zach. I know I'm not right, and keep correcting me. A quick tour. They're closed right now. Everybody's resting during the lockdown. They're working. So this is the office for the economy. Ilhan Omar, who is the famous in Congress. Do you know Ilhan? She's the first Muslim woman ever voted. This is her office. Yeah.
That's cool. The one that is currently. Oh wow!
Yeah, get a picture.
Yes.
His room is interesting because his library is there. And it's fun to see his library. I don't have a section.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, it's just fun. Oh, when you come back, we can.
Yes, yes.
So, just his, he's an Islamic scholar, so all the books of Islam, the Quran, the Hadith, all the Islam books, they're beautiful to see. The executive director, Wally, who you'll meet tonight, that's his office. This is for the director of the Dipsy School of Students. Wally will be here soon. Classrooms are all very basic. I don't know if those are chairs. So you recognize this kind of world. Yeah. It's very similar to like the Chinese kind of,
Yeah, lecturing.
Yeah. Do you need a bathroom for you?
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
Shanghai or where's he going?
Beijing.
Beijing.
Beijing
Normal, that's right.
No, not that one. Beijing Youth University for Political Science. Political Science.
I worked at Beijing Normal for a while.
And also, I think Beijing Normal also or getting involved in service learning and
before I came to NYC, I had.
He's been everywhere. Knows everybody. That's the thing.
Like all NYC. Where I live in Beijing is very close to Beijing Normal University.
Oh.
Yeah, that area.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very light. Yeah.
So, this is where the event will be. And it's, so here's the men's section, and there's people praying right now.
Do you pray 5 times per day?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you?
No. Who do I pray to? Your shoes are...
Yeah,
Okay.
But you speak Arabic.
I'm horrible at language. I speak almost no language. For 18 years. It's like it pours in and pours right out. I can't keep it.
That's exactly it. And people in Somali community here, they often speak English.
No. Majority speak English. Many speak only a little bit. English, you know. older individuals, but not even all speak Arabic. All could recite the Quran for the most part, but they wouldn't know what it means.
So how do you communicate with them?
Anyone I work with, deeply they speak English, and then they will translate in any language. In Somalia 2 months ago, and I went with 2 Somali gentlemen.
How is Somali now? Is it
Somaliland? Wonderful, amazing, exciting. Somalia, Mogadishu. Tough.
Okay, thank you. We have long stories to continue because I am always drawn to the war zones. Yes, edge, like see where life truly is. I think that's
right, and that's the space where we feel that we're called to. What needs to be done. Okay. How are you?
I'll see you tonight. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice day.
See you tonight.